Thank you. So I'd like to call this meeting, the March meeting of the Children's Trust of Alachua County to order. Great to have so many guests with us this afternoon. And as a reminder to all of us and ground us in the work, the mission of the Children's Trust of Alachua County is to fund and support a coordinated system of community services that allow all youth and their families to thrive. Any member of the public wishing to be heard will have two opportunities, or a few opportunities, one in just a moment at the beginning of the meeting, to come forward to the podium at the appropriate time, introduce yourselves to the board and everyone with us. And you'll have 3 minutes to speak on a single topic and address the board about address the board about a current motion on the floor. The clerk of the trust will function as our official timekeeper. Please do be reminded that our policy prohibits any unplanned funding requests from the podium, and should a member of the public wish to make a funding request, please do contact Executive Director Kinder or staff for consideration. Would our clerk please now call roll and verify that at least 5 members of the trust are physically present for today's meeting? And as a reminder to me and everyone, green light, speak directly into your microphone.
Yes, ma'am. Member Tina Certain.
Here.
Chair Mary Chance.
Here.
Member Ken Cornell. Dr. Nancy Hart, member.
Here.
Dr. Maggie Labarda, member.
Here.
Dr. Kamala Patton, member. Treasurer Lee Pinkeson.
Here.
Member Melissa Walker. Honorable Suzanne Wilson Bullard, Vice Chair. Madam Chair, that's the roll.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to now move on to approval of the agenda, the consent agenda, and materials that we have in our meeting packet. Approval of the agenda does also involve approving all of the items in the consent agenda.
I move approval of the agenda, including the items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Okay, now this is our first opportunity for any general public comments to please come forward to the podium for 3 minutes. Thank you. Please introduce yourself to the room.
Press the button on that mic, sorry.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Phil Kabler, and I'm still the President and CEO of CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services. It is my pleasure today to introduce you to my successor, who will be taking over April 1st, PJ Menzie. He can tell you a little about himself, but I will say for the 4 years that I've been involved with you all as a guest, I very much enjoyed it. We've enjoyed working with you all, and we thank you for your support of CDS and the children, youth, families, and Alachua County communities we serve. So thank you.
Hello, my name is PJ Menzie, as Phil mentioned. Just excited to be working with CDS. I grew up here in Gainesville. I've been gone for the past 20 plus years, but back in the area now. I've been working with children in need of services and families in need of services for the past 18 years, 10 in Tallahassee, and the past 8 for Hillsborough County. And so excited to be here, excited to be back in the community, and ready to work with you all.
Sorry. Good afternoon. I'm Geraldine Lemus. I am a junior at Hawthorne High School.
I am Liam Dunn, and I am a freshman at Eastside High School.
Hi, I'm Desmond Krause. I'm a senior at Gainesville High School.
We represent Amplify, the Alachua County Student Voice Coalition, and we would like to start by thanking the Children's Trust of Alachua County for this opportunity to speak today. We are truly grateful for your funding and continued support. Because of you, students like us are able to participate in powerful experiences like Teen Day and college trips. We would also like to thank Ms. Kiner for sharing information and insight, being present at Teen Day, and making us all feel seen.
So, who are we? Amplified is more than a group. It is a space where students can speak freely and where everyone's opinions are heard. Amplified is designed to empower students' voices and school students by giving them a platform and a medium to share their voice and provide their opinions and perspectives on education, community issues, and youth development. This year, our priority is planning and preparing for life after high school. All students in Alachua County matter, and it is our job as a community to empower them and help these young people, especially students in our district. I know, and we know, that students have the ability to lead successful lives in and out of the county and strive towards their goals.
On February 28, Amplify students participated in Teen Day at the city capitol, where we learned how important it is to advocate for what we believed in. We learned and got ideas to discuss, made the state capitol and how it impacts our schools and our resources, our future, and our opportunities. Being aware of these things allow us to better understand policies that shapes our education and why student involvement is so important. We have many resources available to us, such as Amplify. I am empowered to make a change. It was amazing experience in honoring at the Teen Days, discussing leadership, and age is not defined. Leadership is not defined by age, but by action.
With your continued support, we can stand together and continue to amplify students' voices across Alachua County. Thank you for your time and this opportunity to present today.
Thank you.
Great job coordinating. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Anyone else from the general public?
So as you can see, the tears from my eyes.
Sorry, could you please
I am Antonique Edwards. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services for Alachua County Public Schools, and my dream is amplified. Part of my dissertation work was related to student voice, and it was lacking in research because people often didn't take the time to ask kids. And so that moved us into this place of moving from nothing to kind of birthing an opportunity where we had a few kids in our year one. It may have been 5 to 10, 10 to 12, and last year maybe about 20. But as we've continued to do the work and had the financial support of CTAC and with Education Foundation, we have over 60 children who are actually active in Amplify this year across our 7 high schools, and they are very vocal. It's necessary. They have been spending time this year working on comprehensive rezoning feedback. They did Teen Day at the Capitol, as you've just heard. They've given feedback as to how we're moving forward, and they're also representing us as we move forward to prepare for our college boot camp, the 5th annual one at Santa Fe College, as well as our Student Athlete Resiliency Summit that we do with Education Foundation. So thank you so much.
Dr. Edwards, can you tell, are they invited to participate in Amplify, or is it like a student club where anyone can join as they?
So different than student government, thank you so much for the question, Ms. Certain. Different than student government where you have to have a specified GPA. We go out onto the campuses and they have QR codes, and all of our students across the campuses who show an interest can share that. It was really important for us to make sure that we had a very diverse group of students, and that it was not subjected to whether they were doing well academically, because the feedback across the board was necessary. So regardless of economic impact, racial, any of those things, the school and their locations, we wanted to have a cross-section of voices from across schools. So students had to show that they had an interest, and then they had to complete questions, and so they all responded. So I will tell you that we had to turn away students in this year. As they graduate out, we have more students to move forward. The goal was to have at least 2 students in each of our 7 high schools, 2 per grade level, on a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior level. Any other questions?
Okay, excellent. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Okay, thank you so much. All right, now we have an exciting, I have an exciting responsibility. Melissa, if you could come forward, please. You may or may not know the composition of the board is a mixture of people by position statutorily and gubernatorial appointees. Why don't you come on up here? And we have had the pleasure of having Cheryl Twombly with the Department of Children and Families as a devoted member of our board until her retirement in December. And now Melissa Walker is our new representative on the board from the Department of Children and Families. And I learned in a workshop last month, her territory's pretty huge. So we appreciate her making participation in this board and in these conversations a priority. And I would like to administer the oath of office, since we don't have our judge with us today, to Melissa Walker. So if you would raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Melissa Walker, do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government. Oh, I'm sorry, am I breaking up? Oh. That I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida. That I'm duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state. That I will well and faithfully perform the duties of a board member of the Children's Trust of Alachua County, of which I am now about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations and welcome. Thanks. Okay. Awesome. All right, next we have Executive Director's update.
I thought Madam Chair might want to talk about Helios.
Oh, sure. I was going to do that at the end, but I can do that now. This actually came up in our workshop this morning, and by the way, I did enjoy my visit. Thank you, Leah, to the invitation for us to observe peak literacy last week. That was really helpful and informative to me. But I had the pleasure of having dinner with a colleague last week who was in town for the College of Education stakeholder meeting. She is the Vice President for Florida of the Helios Education Foundation, which is a pretty significant grant-making organization in Florida and in Arizona, a private foundation. They focus on certain geographic areas, and unfortunately we're not one of them, but they do share their knowledge and their learnings statewide, both here and in Arizona. And I've actually gone with them with the Florida Campaign for Grade Level Reading to learn from Arizona a few years ago with some state legislators and other stakeholders in the state of Florida, including participation from not just K-12 and support groups, but also early learning and the cohesion between early learning and preparation of students for kindergarten. She's going to be back in town the end of the month, and I thought as we're getting our literacy collaborative off the ground, and when I think back to the literacy scan and the importance of the work of the school district and in coordination with kindergarten readiness. I asked if her name is Stacy Byer, Dr. Stacy Byer, could come just share with some interested stakeholders a conversation that we're trying to coordinate at the end of the month, specifically some work in Pinellas and Hillsborough that goes by the acronyms of PELI, Pinellas Early Literacy Initiative, and TELI. In one of those, the Lassinger Center is the technical assistance provider, and the other one, they are not. But they are bringing together and having regular cohesive conversations between early learning and early grades, as well as engaging families and community providers. So just thought we might learn from their progress. If you're interested in the conversation, it's not a board meeting, but we'll be getting the invitation out and trying to coordinate calendars, which will be the hardest part. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I will try to be brief. I tell you, our Amplify students stole my thunder because I was going to talk about Children's Week and just how proud we were, because there are, six of us from the trust. Staff went to Tallahassee. We had the opportunity, I think 4 of us, to participate in Teens Day, and Alachua County had more teens there than any other county. We are awesome. Between Amplify and the PACE Center for Girls, we were well represented. So thank you, young folks, for being there, for listening, for learning. Liam has already sent me 2 emails, and I'm sitting here avoiding eye contact because I have not responded, but I am. Because he is on fire, he has a great idea, he is interested in leading. And what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. So Liam, I will be responding to your email. I actually had a meeting last week where I spoke about you and have someone in the community I want to connect you to. It was a wonderful week, you all. We kicked off the week on that Monday with the advocacy dinner where we heard from a 14-year-old from, I believe, Fort Lauderdale or Miami. He is the executive director of a program that has raised over $157,000. His name is Clint John Jr. Google him. He is phenomenal. And I guarantee we are all going to know that name in about 4 years. He's 14. And he is outstanding. And that's what we saw over and over and over again. And I believe it was Clint who said, Darlena can help me, I think she videotaped him. He said, we often say that the youth are our future, but they are our now. And that was so moving, and it made me kind of rethink, because I love that song by Whitney Houston about the children are our future, and we say it all the time, but they are our now. So that's why you all being here, you all using your voices is so important. Do it now. It matters. Let's see, what else was on my list? In addition to Children's Week, we of course took advantage of the fact that we were at the Capitol and tax reform is still an issue. So we were able to meet again with Senator Bradley's staff. We had the opportunity to meet with Representative Yvonne Henson Hayes and say thank you, because as you all know, she is retiring and she has been a friend to CTAC. So we were able to sit with her and talk and laugh, and she is a hoot, as they say. And then we had the opportunity to meet with Representative Chad Johnson. Representative Johnson wants to be of support to CTAC, so we are planning to meet with him in district to talk about exactly how he may be able to help us moving forward. So we had a great meeting with Representative Johnson. Our governmental relations team is on Zoom. Tom Griffin, the principal for the Griffin Group, and I'm gonna turn the mic over to Tom to talk about really the last week of regular session. Right, Tom?
Yeah, and but it won't be the last week of session for this year, as you're alluding to, Marcia, and good afternoon to the board. Thank you again for the opportunity to give you all a end of regular scheduled session update. The most noteworthy piece of that is that we are, now basically 4 days away from our regularly scheduled session, with no movement or proposal or definitive action on property tax reform, as well as no budget, which for those of you that follow Florida politics will know is a very unusual place to be 4 days out from the end. So what that means is we will most certainly be going into some extended or special sessions this year. It continues to be widely assumed, and I would say the number one priority for the legislature and governor. Number one would be passing the budget, which they constitutionally must do. And number two is some version of property tax reform. I believe I spoke to the board about this time last month. We did discuss the fact that, from the governor's perspective, passing property tax reform, ad valorem reform, is not a win unless the voters approve it. I'm encouraged by polling that shows that, when asked, what citizens would be willing to support when they understand what they'd be giving up with various tiers of property tax reform proposals, the approval ratings drop dramatically, certainly below the 60% threshold required for a voter referendum. And so what that means practically for the trust and for other community organizations that are watching this, local governments, is that whatever is ultimately decided on is going to have to be something palatable enough to be approved by the voters. The governor is going to campaign on this actively. He is going to want to ensure that this is a priority that the voters will approve. And some of you may recall that there was an attempted ad valorem adjustment just 2 or 4 years ago that was unsuccessful on the ballot. So the threshold is difficult to meet. And I think that drives the impact of the property tax reform down as they consider a real proposal. So in summary, what I would say is that, we will keep this board informed of timing. I do think that the trust team making multiple visits to Tallahassee this year has positioned us well to be a voice on behalf of trusts around the state, as well as in our community, and prepare them for the impacts that various takes on ad valorem reform could have on the trusts around the state, including in Alachua County. And we expect the special session most likely to be held sometime between now and June. My guess is March, we won't see anything. Perhaps could see something in April, May, and could go even as far as early June. So I will do my best to keep this board informed, weekly as the winds shift, and we'll of course be staying in touch. In fact, Marcia and I were talking recently that one of the things that I'd like to do shortly after this session, sometime in late March, early April, is do another visit to Alachua County and just do another meeting round with all the individuals that Marcia mentioned that we've met with over the last several months, and just ensure that our delegation is fully aware of what the trust does, its importance to the community, and the impacts that ad valorem changes could have on the program. So thank you very much for the opportunity to address the board again.
Thank you, Tom. And then lastly, was it last Saturday or Saturday before last, we had our fifth cohort of Alachua County Business Leadership Institute Masterclass. So we had 11 individuals graduate representing 8 early learning organizations. So we are very, very, very proud of the work of BLI. And that concludes my report.
We do have an action item with your name on it, Ms. Kleiner.
I forgot about that.
Fiscal
Yes.
position approval.
Fiscal position. So we are in need of a staff accountant. CTAC has a wonderful new CFO who came in, assessed all of our staff, assessed our capabilities, and came to me and said, Marcia, we really need to bring on a staff accountant. And so I am asking the board to approve a staff accountant position. I thought we might wait until the upcoming year's budget to do it, but with audit and all of the things that we have been doing in preparation for next year's budget, we really feel we need to bring someone on now. So I am asking for support for the hiring of a staff accountant position. And then Molly, if you want to add anything to that.
So moved.
Second.
I was about to say that our treasurer had a comment, but I think,
I do have a question. It won't, won't take a full hit on this salary, of the salary, because there are savings to be incurred as well. Is that correct?
in terms of outsourcing,
That,
okay.
So yes, to answer your question, there will be savings, and we do have funds to support the adding of this position, if so approved.
This one that was just getting a degree to count it, but to be able to do higher level work is what you need.
Yes, exactly. Someone else to augment the capacity of our team.
We had some discussion about this at the last Finance Committee meeting, did we not? Okay, so it's what we're talking about? Yeah, I'm very comfortable with it.
Okay, I think we have a motion.
No, I second it.
You did. Okay, and a second?
They're fighting over second.
Any comments on this proposal from the general public before we call for vote? Board members? Okay, I know this has been something that's been in the works since several months and under discussion, so I'm happy to see this move forward. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay, now I think we're on to some presentations. One on continuous quality improvement. Bonnie, if you could come forward.
Presenting on continuous quality improvement. So the trust has engaged in a continuous quality improvement for the last 4 years. We started in fiscal year 2022, and the CQI process is a process where we look at the different areas that we contract with providers. We look at expectations fiscally, administratively, and in terms of service delivery and performance related to our goals and child outcomes. So CQI, as the year closes, we put together all the data across our different departments, and we review and reflect on performance with each area, giving their input on how the performance and expectations were met. And then we roll all the information, look at it together to really try to learn from how things went in the previous year, to share that information back with providers so they can see how they're doing in terms of what the expectations were, and look at ways to better support the system overall and provide resources, knowing just how to look at all the data all put together and reflect. And I think it's helpful for us as well as our programs to kind of see how things are going. As I mentioned, we've been doing CQI for 4 years, so each year we've kind of added a little bit to it. This year, we added comparisons to previous years, so in each provider's report, they see not only how they did this year, but they'll see how they did in previous years, so they don't have to go back and find the email from last year and try to find last year's report. We did a table at the end so they can see, okay, I did advancing this year, how did I do the past year? Or I got emerging this year, to kind of see what the trend is year for year. We included additional fiscal information, so every provider has a written comment from the fiscal department on what they did well, and as well as areas that they can improve upon, where they can receive support and specifics on their performance fiscally. We also included a rating on training completion, so we never had training completion as a CQI item, and we did include it this year, so that's our new item. So these are the different areas that we look at for CQI and the ratings, briefly explained. So there's 7 different areas. Fiscal looks at the use of the funding allocation, and for each of the categories, there's ratings that are either mastering, advancing, or emerging. So each area has its specific definition related to what that means for that area. Operations includes both communication with the trust as well as acknowledgement of funding support, which are outlined in the contract. Population focus is outlined in every contract, and specifically whether they're serving the intended population as outlined in their specific contract. Service delivery looks at whether the program was implemented with quality and according to the contract's specifications. Training looks at whether the training requirements were completed as specified in their contract. Performance measures looks at those performance measures. So every contract has performance measures, and it looks at the extent to which those performance targets were met in the contract. And then data quality looks at whether data was complete and accurate and whether it was on time. So this gives a little screenshot of what the first page of a report looks like. The report, and I'm actually going to switch to the report itself. A bit bigger. So the first page of the report gives the program name, the description. Make that a little bigger. It outlines the purpose of CQI, and it gives them a rundown of in each area how they did in terms of their rating. So mastering generally means exceptional performance, or they're doing very well. They're meeting expectations, or they're doing well. Emerging means the expectations weren't quite met, and that's an area that we'd like to see improvement on. So we also have on the front page of the report how many years they've been funded with the trust, again, the purpose, and then it goes into the results details. So the first page goes into fiscal and population focus. It gives the details of how they did, what they got, comments from staff, target population as well. Sometimes there aren't always comments if they did well or they're meeting expectations, but there are always comments if they get a rating of emerging. And then next page goes into communication, acknowledgement, with the feedback, service delivery, training, requirements they completed, how many hours they completed, and their rating for that. And then there's a whole page that goes into performance measures, showing what their targets were, what their measures were, and where they fell in terms of their rating on performance measures. Below that shows their data quality and timeliness rating, and then feedback from CTAC staff. Amy and I always did feedback in this area, so there was always something to kind of detail how they did, areas for improvement, and things that they did well. A little more detail on what they did in terms of performance measures. Last page, so this depends on how many years they've been working with us. If they had been with us the whole time, it would show the whole
years all lit up, but if they'd only been with us for fiscal year 2025, it would just show the last year's data. And then there's general overall contract manager comments, and then we use some of the data from the provider reflection for them to give details on what challenges might have been and what are areas of our opportunity or future plans. So that's what a CQI report looks like. And we completed 81 of them this year. Last year it was 70, and then the years before it was 59 and 65. So we've gone up this year. There was quite a lot of programs. We also had a lot of new, yes.
So, when we see duplicates, is that because of two different grants, two different funding?
Yeah, so it's rated at the contract level. So one program, for example, somebody who could have it after school in a summer, or somebody could have.
It would be really good if you would make a notation, because to just see it twice, it looks like it's duplicated. Maybe it's no, I'm just looking at the, page 79 on the, that's why I asked. And then my second question is can you tell me how you could have the performance measures being, and the data quality not be the same rating?
So the performance measures looks at the number of performance measures they have. So I think the best way to articulate this would be to show, so this particular provider had 10 performance measures, and they met 8 of them. So they got advancing because they had 80% of their measures met. Data quality means that they turned in the data as required. So they completed the surveys, they completed the enrollment forms, they entered the data in SAMIS, they submitted their reflections. So that's actually submitting the data. That involves the submission of data. Performance measures involves the evaluation of that data.
If they submitted the data and if it was late, persistent, that would grant a lower rating.
Yes, for data
So
quality.
they could, okay. Because I was like, how could you have good performance measure, be it advancing or mastering, but have emerging under data quality?
Yeah, they
Like the
could.
two don't seem to correlate. But so to me, so I guess I'm thinking of like the quality of your data, like it wasn't, like you didn't collect it well. That's what I was thinking, like data. Or timeliness is what that is.
It could
That's
be,
why I was
it
asking.
could be quality, like they could be missing a lot of their, demographics. They could be missing a survey, or they could have submitted.
But if that's the
Long
case,
survey.
to me, the performance measure, wouldn't the performance, okay.
Well, it's also, not just the timeliness, but it's also if we have to continue to reach out to, for you, like if you're missing demographics. So it goes into the work that we,
Completeness,
the
timing,
complete,
completeness, and all
yes.
of that. Okay. I just couldn't understand how it would be a difference.
So I think I went a little bit of graph wild on this presentation. I had a lot of graphs in here, but I wanted to share some stuff related to this year's results as well as our historical results. So this shows the percentage of the 81 programs we evaluated, where they fell in terms of mastering, advancing, and emerging for each of the 7 components. So fiscal shows that we had about half of providers that expended 90% or more is what mastering means for that rating. Population focus has always had a strong percentage of mastering, very small percentage of emerging. Service delivery, that shows that how we did in terms of mastering, emerging for that category. Operation combines both communications and acknowledgement. So that shows how we did with that. Again, very small percentage of providers falling in that one. For performance measures, we had 35% emerging, so that's comparable with last year, and I'll go more into that in the last one. Our new one, training, we had only I think 1 or 2 providers fall into did not complete the training requirements. They had to complete the training requirements in order to be reimbursed, so it was kind of, they kind of needed to do it. And I think this is a similar case with population focus. It tends to get hit more on the performance measures than the population focus, because if they're serving outside of their population, we'll have them not count them as part of the performance measures. So if they're serving a child outside of Alachua County, it won't count towards their number of children served, because that won't be part of that measure. So for data quality, that is composed of both the quality, that it's complete, it's accurate, as well as the timeliness. So we also have a good portion in there that falls into the emerging, 57% advancing, and then 2%. So looking at the data historically, so we've been doing it for 4 years. This shows our trend. I think for almost everything, we're doing better than our very first year. Looking at CQI, I think having providers see this every year and having us see this every year kind of gives us information on what we need to do better and how we can work better together to ensure the expectations are met, particularly with operations. I think revisiting continually what's the expectation for acknowledgement, what's the expectation for communication, helps us really make the emerging percentage go down in that area. Service delivery has remained pretty consistent, and as well as population focus has remained consistently low for that. For performance measures, I wanted to dig into that with data quality a little bit more too. So performance measures, again, express our shared goals and our ways of measuring whether anticipated results and outcomes are achieved. So these are our plans. We set the bar high for this. We want providers to get 80% or more of their targets met, and to get into advancing, and then all the measures met for mastering. So we actually, looking at this data, showed a lot of improvement from the first year and then the second year, and then kind of came up similarly as in 2025 compared to 2024. We also served a lot of new providers in 2025 compared to 2024. Specifically, we had 35 first-year providers. 43% of our providers were first-year providers, and that was largely due to the new summer and the enrichment RFP brought on a lot of providers that hadn't worked with us. And then there were also some one-time fundings that we had for data quality that shows our trend with data quality.
Bonnie, could I stop you for 1 second? Mm-hmm. So that's what I was going to ask about that. It seems to me that it's hard to interpret this data if I don't know how many we've got in each category of first year, second year. I would expect the percent of mastery for people with multiple year contracts who are on maybe their third or second iteration to be much better than, so I think this is important, but when I first looked at this data, I went, well, whoa, last year we had 61% mastering, and this year we're down to 48, what's going on? So I think we either should exclude the first years or put them in bins. You know, first year, 2 to 3 years, more than 3 years, so that we can kind of see the impact of that a little more clearly. Because when I first looked at it, I was like, okay, what happened this year?
And last year we had, in comparison, we had 17 new providers, or 24%. So we had a lot of new providers this year. First-year providers are much more likely to be in the emerging category versus the ones that are in the 3-year or plus. Two-year providers in the 2-year range also tend to. So this looks at the percentage, the average percentage of among programs, what they meet. So it's 81% is the average performance measures met by programs, and then it shows it across the fiscal year. And then I broke it down a little bit further in emerging in terms of what percentage of providers falling in the emerging category. Were they just below the target, between 70 and 79%, with 16% versus like those that really met less than half of their targets, and the 50 to 69%. So that kind of breaks it down a little further. I think this has been helpful for me to look at and reflect to see who is falling in emerging, and then knowing how. And I think one thing that definitely is important is, especially for first year, is the signing of the contract. If there's a delay in the signing of the contract and we have to collect data retrospectively, or they didn't start right when they needed to, that sometimes will adversely impact performance. And so that's something, when I know I have a provider who was supposed to start services on October 1 and we aren't signing till later, I know I need to pour more effort into getting them caught up and working with them more intentionally. And then also knowing for the ones that are in the emerging category to kind of triage more support and make sure I check in with them more regularly. So, and I think it also, when they see the results, they're like, okay, we gotta figure this out. So those are the results for 2025.
Bonnie, could I stop you for just 1 second? Member Pickerson.
I want to follow up on what Maggie was saying. We talked earlier, I think the knowing how far they are in the timeline is very, very important. And I think that y'all, I can't believe how much work y'all poured into this. It's obvious that a lot goes into coming up, so please don't take anything as being critical, because I think that the information that's in this for the board is probably one of the most important things that we do, especially because all the categories are important, but if somebody's having trouble with fiscal or performance measures or data, the performance measures and the data is going to make or break us. So that, as we were talking about earlier, when we go out in 4 years to the public, if we don't have this information, then we can't tell the public how well we're doing. And I totally agree that if somebody is in the first year of of working with the trust, or if we change the parameters in some way for the providers, then we need asterisks on this so that we can see they're emerging. This is first, if it says there, I'm okay with the advancing and the mastering. Obviously, it's the emerging that we really need to work with, because the scores there aren't, they could be better. And so what we need to know as a board is there's an asterisk. This person is in the first year of their program, or if there are a number of ones that are emerging, we change the parameters and they're having to catch up. That would be very important as going forward. So I think that what you've done so far is good. The other question is, okay, so what do we do if somebody's been in the program for 4 years and they're still emerging? And I think that that's a critical thing that the board needs to, we've got to get that information, and somehow we have to impress it, because if this doesn't go forward, none of the programs get funded again, at least to the trust. So, it's to their benefit to get us the information so that we can prove the case that, y'all are all doing really good stuff. And you're helping our kids. We're hopefully, we're making them successful. And so it's imperative that we get those, those two categories, as well as be able to show to the public that the people are doing what they need to do fiscally prudently. So as a board, what do we want to do if the parameters hadn't changed, or or it's beyond the first or the second year? What do we want to? How do we impress upon the providers that something's got to change, because we've got to have that information? You've signed a contract. You said you were going to provide that information, and so now what do we do? So,
Member Labarta has the answer to that.
Well, I have a thought. I think as a board, what we can say is that we want to do two things. One is understand that we have a lot of new young providers who need some capacity building support, and the kind of things that Bonnie was talking about, reaching out, helping them. But that we also get to a place where we are requiring excellence. I don't want as a board member to sit here and decide that, but I do think that staff need to have a procedure, an operational procedure for when they review continuing versus discontinuing provider status based on these kinds of performance issues. So what I would say is, as a board member, I want to support both developing the capacity of our provider community to serve the kids that we know need services, and that we want to promote excellence in terms of the strategy, and that the staff then ought to operationalize that and have a process outlined in procedure that says, you know, you go this far and then we will review whether or not in fact you can continue to be a contracted provider based on your quality.
And that could include ramifications for a new RFP cycle.
Correct.
Past performance.
Absolutely.
Member Hart?
Everybody knows I sit next to the most provocative person on this board. And a very thought-provoking question came to my mind. And I'm really interested in the population-focused question. And I'm surprised it's not 95% mastering, because everybody knows that our money comes from the taxpayers of Alachua County, and the children we serve should be the children from Alachua County. Why aren't they all mastering that? And what do you see? What are you seeing? And what happens when we pay for staff to be hired for a program, but some of their children don't get to count because they aren't from Alachua County, but we still paid for the staff? What does that mean?
For mastering generally means, again, exceeding expectations. So advancing means they served the kids that were in their contracts, they met their requirements. And mastering would be that they really took an intentional time to focus on the kids that had the highest need. They really looked at the population, and they served the areas and the children and the families that had the greatest need and ability to benefit from the program. So mastering means, say, had specifications, you know, grades K through whatever, and they had to be, you know, different programs have different, like maybe scholarship eligibility, or maybe they had different requirements, they met that. Mastering would mean that they kind of exceeded that by really looking at how can I make sure the kids that need and benefit the program are getting it most.
So I guess my follow-up question is, it sounds like they're doing pretty well with population. So I'm back to Dr. Labarta's point. Why aren't they doing better with data? Because really, what's the difference?
Well, it's not always just about where they live. There are other things that play into that population focus as well. It's not just about the resident. That rarely happens.
Can you share with us then? Help us. Yeah, I was thinking
It could be the age range that they set in their scope. Just making sure, like if you said that you're going to be doing elementary age children for a summer program or for after school, that's what we hold you to. So it's that as well. So it's the ramifications that are spelled out in their scope, as well as about who they said they would be serving. Them serving kids outside of Alachua County or families, that rarely happens. That's just one example that she gave, but there are other things that go into it.
I think it would help to, you may already do this. It looks like you have done a lot of categorizing, but it would probably help, knowing how contracts work, to have like all of the summer programs together, like she mentioned, and all of the parenting programs, or separate. Do you already separate them like that to determine then also all these components?
Yeah, we could definitely do it. They are listed that way in the one printout. They're organized kind of by provider type. All the after-school providers are next to each other. All the enrichment providers are next to each other, to kind of make it a little bit easier to eyeball it.
I was just
next to each other.
right in here in the one that has all of them listed. dashboard. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's small. I mean, I like the suggestion of a dashboard. Potentially, we could do something.
Yeah, so that you can compare like contracts and like deliverables. It might be helpful. I don't mean to create more work for you, but that's one possibility. And so my question also then was, have you already looked at, like population goes or something like that category, how each area performs in those? Because I know it'll be different and it'll skew, just the overall would be skewed if they're held to different requirements.
Well, they're held to the requirements that are in the contract. So population focus, as Belita and Christy mentioned, is different per the contract. Like for the family resource centers, they're focused on families in Alachua County. For the summer camps, they have a specific scholarship eligibility that they need to adhere to. Everybody has the Alachua County. That's the one that's across everywhere. But then there's also different, like for teens who are Alachua, they need to be Alachua County schools. They have to be non-repeating teens that hadn't had the program before.
Right. I guess I'm not asking the question correctly. So maybe we can just talk later. It's not, or I can send you some information later.
That is interesting to think about, to me, the looking at them even internally by groups, because you could say, wow, our early childhood providers seem to be really strong in this area and not this, and it might inform meta-programming or something in the Business Learning Institute that could be helpful to just look at them in different ways.
And I think it's all about slicing and dicing.
Because this is a lot of information and we don't want to not use it to be smart.
Is there a reason, Bonnie, in the training column where it says not rated for some of them? Like, why would they not be rated for training?
Some of those programs we discontinued during that our mid-year review. Some of them didn't. Some contracts were terminated mid-year.
Okay, so that was why they were.
And before it wasn't required.
So we have some administrative contracts, right? So for an example, we have the Community Foundation, and we have a contract with them for My Sidewalk, the Philanthropy Hub. We do not require them to take those trainings, correct?
Well, I guess some of the ones that I was looking at, they were programs, like there were a couple, I was just scanning down and looking and I saw the gray, it stands out. And they were actually like Early Learning Coalition, the tuition part. That makes sense.
That would be correct. That would be one.
A&A doula consulting.
Correct. That's another one. We don't require them. That is a training program to train doulas. So we then don't require them to. Yep, that's correct.
So I think I'm hearing two recommendations that coming out of looking at this. One is slicing the data by how long you've been contracted, and the other is to slice the data by the type of provider. Because I think that would make it more informational for us to see, and for you to, as Mary pointed out, say, hey, this group really needs to focus on this. This is amazing data, and it's an amazing amount of work, and so maybe it's just a matter of getting into those sort and filter kinds of.
And also reminding us that this data exists as we go forward, because it's a lot.
So it's a great tool to look at and reflect on how we can build capacity in areas of opportunity for us. Just this last slide, a couple of things for next year. To add to the one bullet is wanting to, we talk about CQI and contract negotiation, and we talk about it in the performance review, but I think having something on our learning management system where different staff could share about their CQI section and what the expectations are, where people could just watch it on demand, would be something that we'd like to do for next year. I think outlining ways to become, some providers, the feedback when we sent the email and the report, or we talked with them, they asked, well, what could we do to be at mastering, or what would we need to do to get to that mastering level? So I think maybe putting out more information on what that would look like, and what for their specific contract or opportunities to be mastering in terms of data quality and performance measures, and then including additional fiscal elements. So fiscal right now just looks at utilization, but I think also including components on timeliness and quality of submissions is something that we wanted to include for the subsequent years. So I'll add, I'll definitely, I did the analysis on the breakdown by year of provider, but I didn't include it in this presentation. I will in future ones, so.
You knew we were going to ask.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, performance measures and the outcomes, that's my life. And so, like, I wanted to see, like, what providers, I mean, yeah, like, I wanted to see if that inkling that those that are newer with us, you know, struggle more, and whether the data supported that hypothesis.
But you kind of skew your data, like the fiscal, if you add another criteria
Yes,
there,
it
that's
will.
going to skew that. So you'd have to go back and restate the prior year to give us at least a year comparison. You know,
Yeah,
if you-
or we'll have to parse that out differently, where we just look at utilization and then we look at the other two components. But I think that would be helpful for folks too.
Most definitely, yeah, but if you know, like the
Yeah.
accounting way, Molly can tell you, or, you know, the accountant when they come, you can add some of the criteria, but you'd have to go back and restate the prior year for comparability.
Yes.
You know, you can't just change it and then go forward. You got to give us at least 1 year to be able to see how it would compare. So, you know, so that we can make a good decision about it.
We are prepared to do so, and
Oh, no, I was just saying you could, for comparability. I was just saying, like, you know, like in accounting,
Yes.
if the statements if we make a correction or the accounting standard changes and you have to go back another, 1 year to.
Absolutely, yes. No, I was just speaking to that point because, you know, I am fiscal. So I just wanted to say that we are prepared for that, to provide that, so it's commensurate.
Member Pinkerton.
Bonnie, are you ready for a motion?
We just have to receive this. It's just a presentation.
Okay, but we do have the suggestions.
We need a motion.
He's ready. Okay, quick draw.
First part would be to accept this most excellent and comprehensive report. The second, that staff, and I'm making this second one very broad, that staff bring back a recommendation concerning the emerging category. And the reason I made it broad was because there are variables in there, and y'all can say, it's the first, when in the first year, we want to assist them and whatever we can, you know, so that they can complete the reports. I am concerned, you know, as we get down the road, how do y'all want to handle that? And if you want a different way of wording it.
I don't know that we need a motion. We're already doing mid-year reviews. Talked about how we're already looking at.
So,
Maggie, what was your suggestion?
My suggestion was just that you let us know kind of what your process is, so that we know.
For using the
So I don't
information.
want to sit here and tell you which providers based on looking at it. I don't see us do that as a board role. I don't see our role as taking a look at this data and signaling which providers you should be concerned about. But I do want to know as a board member that you have a clear process for deciding which providers you put on probation, or you do whatever the heck, you know, however you set that up.
that's why I think we need a motion so they have the backup. You know, we see the procedure and we approve the procedure.
That's fine. I'll second it. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Bonnie. Fantastic work. Oh, I'm so sorry. Any comment from the public? I forget that every time on this topic.
Good afternoon. I'm Bishop Stokes, and I'm the director of the Willie Mae Stokes Community Center. Having two programs that were part of the report that Bonnie gave, I would like to say thank you. Y'all lost me at page 3. But I wanted to say thank you for Bonnie and the staff for working along with our programs. We have a first and a second. But their involvement and their support has made our services invaluable. And so I want to say thank you for the effort. And having that tool really allows us to go back and look at what we're doing well. How do we move from that emerging to the mastering, and then to not just how do we get there, but how do we maintain it? And so I want to thank them for all of the effort that they have put into supporting our after-school program and our Family Resource Center. And without them, and I look at our efforts, is that this is rural. It's different than when you're looking at Gainesville or you're looking at whatever area you're looking at. When you take these numbers and you look at them from a rural standpoint and the services that we're providing, no matter what it looks like in the data, which is important, but real life on the ground, it's invaluable. And so I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Stokes, especially for this to be useful for providers is key. Thank you. Yes.
Hi there, I'm Sherry Kitchens with the Child Advocacy Center. I want to echo what Bishop Stokes said. It is a wonderful tool to be able to communicate back and forth about what's working, what's not working, what we can improve on. It is my favorite piece of communication that I get from any of our grantors throughout the course of the year because it's measurable and it really helps our staff give them the feedback rather than waiting to the end of the year or waiting till there's a real problem. So I really appreciate the work that Bonnie and the staff put into it as well. We're looking at creating something like that internally at our center because it's so effective.
That is fantastic. Oh, we have someone else? Welcome.
Good afternoon, Allison Marks, Kids Count. I was out in the lobby and I was like, how do I do public comment from the lobby? But also wanted to express gratitude to Bonnie and to Amy for the CQI process. We most recently had a site visit and we were able to talk about that data together. I had questions and we kind of, Bonnie and I joked about, well, I'm an A+ student, so how do I get to the top in every single category? So just wanting to share that feedback that it is something that, as other providers have mentioned, it is a great evaluation to get because it tells us what we're doing and what we can do better. So just wanted to highlight that, and then many thanks to Bonnie and to Amy. Thanks.
Wow, I've never seen this type of feedback from providers.
Yeah, we had some issues with data collection previously, so this is good.
Hello, everyone. I'm James Miller, the Executive Director for Mirror Image Leadership Academy. And last year, we were on contract with the Children's Trust for the first time as well. And the data was very valuable to us to know how we get from advancing to mastery. And I just wanted to say thank you to Director Kiner and the entire staff and the Board of Directors for allowing us to be a part of the Children's Trust and to serve our scholars and our families here in Alachua County. So thank you.
Member Hart?
We need you all to come back when it's time to ask the voters to support us for 12 more years.
Excellent. Anyone else that we missed?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to say how different this is for, the people that have been on the board for a while, and the whole data situation and there was so much resistance about the data initially. And to hear this, it makes my heart sing with joy because that is not where it was, 4 years ago.
But let's bring it full circle now. We're also changed some of the data that some things we're asking for. So there was resistance, and I think I was one of the resistors.
Well, and we did the special committee and got the input from the providers and stuff. So.
But the idea that this is not just a compliance thing, but as a useful tool, as Sherry pointed out, and internally they're modeling it and using it. I think that's huge because it means overall effectiveness, not just the trust's share of funding. All right, can you top that, Dr. Amy Wagner? We've got another Great presentation. This one on, and I think it's tab 11, board members in your book, the 25-26 summer camp evaluation and overview.
Madam Chair, that's another one that an awful lot of work went into. I mean, reading that report, it was unbelievable. So, you know, somebody put some serious time into that.
Have a clicker. Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay. Okay. We'll have to coordinate. Okay. Good afternoon. I'm here to talk about our 2025 summer camps. In 2025, we started a new 3-year grant cycle, and 2025 was year 1. We funded camps a little differently. This time, campers needed to attend at least 3 days during 1 week for the camp to be reimbursed for that child. So the camp served 1,117 children and youth in 2025. There were 16 additional children who were served, but did not meet the 3-day per week requirement for reimbursement. So those children were not included in the total number served. Children served were mainly in elementary school. 66% were Black or African American. 14% indicated they had a special education status, so they had an IEP or a 504 plan. So that was 154 children, 86 of whom participated in our 2 camps that were specifically for children with special needs. And I'm really excited Dr. Meg Litza is here from UF CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, and she's going to talk with us at the end just about the partnership that we had over the summer in terms of working with children with special needs. Yes, okay. So we only provided full scholarships through this RFP. There were no partial scholarships. To be eligible for a scholarship, the child needed to be from a family with income below 300% of the federal poverty level, which is a little over $96,000 per year for a family of 4. Receive SNAP benefits and/or be in foster care, voluntary formal kinship care, or under case management supervision. All families, regardless of which scholarship eligibility criteria they fell under, provided the number of adults and children in the household and the household income. So the average household income was right around $64,000, which was just under 200% of the federal poverty level for a family of 4 in 2025. For our program locations, the majority of children served lived in Gainesville, 78%. Of our 22 camps, 3 operated in more than 1 site, so we had 26 campsites. The majority of campsites were located in Gainesville. We also had a site in Hawthorne, we had a site in High Springs, and we had 2 sites in Newberry. Camps offered an average of 33 days, ranging from 5 to 50 days. More than half of our providers, 63%, offered 7 to 10 weeks of camp, and more than half the children, 53%, attended 7 to 10 weeks of camp, with the average being 6.1 weeks of camp. So children were attending for a good amount of time. Children indicated on a calendar on their enrollment form the number, or the parents indicated on the enrollment form the number of days they plan to attend camp. So campers attended an average of 87% of the days that they plan to attend, and all the providers met that target of children attending at least 75% of the days they plan to attend.
Dr. Wagner, before you leave,
Yes.
before you leave that slide, what's the number in the yellow box? Is that the days attended?
Yeah, that's the average number of days children attended at that camp.
And what's at the end of the bar?
That's the total number of days offered. Yeah, so the top one, the UF crop camp, they offered 24 days, and the average number of days children attended that camp was 18.
Oh, 24 days, average number of kids who attended was 18. Students on the yellow box, kids on the yellow box.
Yeah, the average number of days attended was 18 out of the 24 days that were offered.
18 days out of. I was up way too late last night trying to read this binder.
Madam Chair, how do they handle, what do y'all do for the ones that don't reach that goal? Because there are a couple on there that didn't achieve that mark.
The number of days offered? Which goal?
The ones that they attended, it was less than 50% of the number of days offered.
I'm not sure what you're asking, I'm sorry.
I don't want to name specific programs, but the one where you have, you have a number of days offered, and then you have the number of days, the average number of days that they attended. And there are a couple of them where it's less than 50%. So what?
You said for those students, Lee, if you didn't attend 3 days a week, that they didn't pay for that student for that week scholarship?
Well, not so much, it's not so much that, but the overall provider.
Right.
What do you do? Because right.
So then there's half of us.
Yeah.
But that's what we do. Then there's discussion with them about what's required and what we need them to do.
Madam Edie, the provider provided the service. They were open
Yes.
every day that they were supposed to be open. The child may not have been there, but the service.
Okay, and this goes to, it goes to how we spend our money and do we whittle things down as it's provided. In other words, we want the best of the best. And so if there's a provider, I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can be. If they're not providing, if the kids aren't going, there's probably a reason that they're not going. And probably whether they're getting something out of it or whether they're enjoying it comes into play.
I don't, that's,
I would
It
say,
could be co-parenting, it could be.
it's many
trips, it could
different
be
reasons.
sick,
It might be vacation, it might be co-parenting, it might
Childcare or
be childcare, it might be an individual who is ill, it might be many different reasons.
And that would be the case for all the different programs.
Yes.
Specifically, there are a few that seem like they're not, there's something that's not like all the rest. And I guess, Chrissy, goes to the point about the evaluation.
Correct.
So, my concern is that if there's a program that the kids really aren't enjoying, or, is that where our money is best spent?
So we would be informed of that. Not only do we, this year, we received feedback from the staff
yes.
of each provider. We received feedback from the parents of those children. The children had the opportunity to provide feedback. And so when we receive that information, we go and ask questions. We investigate. We find out what would happen. And that is when we are able to come back and say, we're not moving forward. We are moving forward. How are you going to adjust to address whatever these issues are? But we have not had a significant issue where we felt like children were not showing up because they didn't enjoy the camp. We really did have some top-notch programs that we funded every year, really.
And I will say also, we also look at the attendance rate. And so when the children fill out an enrollment form, the parents indicate at the very beginning of the summer what days the children are going to attend. And then the performance measure is the children attend at least 75% of the days that they signed up for. And it was actually 87%. So children attended 87% of the days they signed up for. So it's not like Traveling Art, for example, is open all summer, which is amazing. And some kids, come for all 10 weeks, and some kids only come for part of that time. But I can tell you, my son went to traveling art. It was wonderful, but we didn't go for 10 weeks. We just kind of went the weeks that worked for our schedule. And I think that's really the discrepancy between the number of days offered and the average number of days. Now, granted, there might be instances where it's not like that, but I think for the most part, it's what Christy said. People are on vacation, kids get sick. There's just different arrangements.
But we hear you, Lee.
Yeah.
We hear you.
Yes.
We understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah. And every provider met the target for attendance rate.
Because, there's a certain amount of fixed costs that we're just gonna have to put out to keep these kids safe during the summer.
That goes to the point, you're putting out this, and you're funding it the whole time, and something needs to be tweaked. So because if it, and do you know whether or not there were children that were turned away for summer programs that weren't able to participate because there wasn't enough capacity? Okay, so if that's, we want to make sure that there's as much as we can do to serve as many children as possible, so.
That's why I like this notion of you have to indicate how many of those sessions, because as a provider then, I should be able to say, okay, I've got 5 families that are only going to attend half of the time so that I can double the number of kids that I've got capacity for, just juggling which weeks, right? So I think that measure is absolutely critical, and the fact that 87%, that was really pretty good.
Big improvement.
Okay. There, okay. So we know from the 2025 Alachua County Comprehensive Literacy Needs Assessment that only about half of Alachua County students are reading on grade level. Literacy programming was not required of our summer camp providers, but 8 out of the 22 providers indicated in their funding proposal that they plan to implement literacy activities. At the end of the summer, we sent all 22 camp providers a survey focused on literacy. We asked those 8 camp providers specifically to complete it, and we requested completion from any other camp providers who implemented literacy activities. So we had 12 of 22 camps who completed the survey. The purpose of the survey was to help us better understand what literacy programming looked like in CTAC camps this past summer, potential outcomes for students, and what practices can be continued or expanded in the future to further support campers' literacy skill development. So at the top here, we have the literacy goals. And how many of the 12 camps were working towards each goal, and how many reported that they met their goal, and the strategies that they used. We also collected information on the dosage of each strategy, so how much or how often each strategy was implemented. So read alouds, which is when an adult is reading aloud to children or children are reading aloud to each other. All 12 camps implemented this, 7 on a daily basis, and 3 camps did it 1 to 3 times per week. Also, all camps gave time for campers to explore books on site, so having like a little library on site, and 7 camps did this daily. So we asked providers how they assessed their outcomes and how they assessed if they met their goals. So 5, almost half, used observation of student attitudes of behavior towards reading. Others used formative assessments, which are ongoing informal assessments of student learning. Some assessed growth using tools at the end of the summer, but overall, much of the evidence of growth was anecdotal, somewhat anecdotal, observation of improved reading attitudes. But I think the findings and reporting from providers is promising. I would also say that 72% of parents of children in these 12 camps agreed their children's reading skills improved over the summer, and 65% agreed their children's excitement towards reading improved over the summer. So that was 267 surveys of children who were in these 12 camps. So again, this is just parent perception, but again, I think the results Even though they're preliminary and maybe a little anecdotal, they are promising. So for next steps, we are having a summer literacy convening on April 17th. Dr. Teresa Beachy, who is overseeing the Alachua County Literacy Collaborative, and Dr. Heidi Keegan, a literacy specialist with the collaborative from UF, will be at the convening to discuss strategies for summer providers for implementing impactful literacy programming in their context. We will also give providers the opportunity to discuss best practices with each other, and we will offer tools that can be used to more formally assess student progress. So the emphasis of the convening will really be on providing strategies that are doable in a summer camp environment.
I was looking back through the data. What I don't see is freedom schools, which I love. And I'm wondering if you all folks would collect the same type of data on that. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, if you all would invite Dr. Coleman King to participate and see if she would be willing to come to the literacy convening to possibly share some of their insights. I mean, because it's a lot to operate a freedom school, but some of the tactics and strategies that they employ may be helpful in the summer camp. Some of our summer camps, like somebody may want to have a model of programs similar to Freedom School, but not have to do all of the hiring and all of the things, because they have it's very stringent. It's very structured and stringent, yeah. So that's just a suggestion. I'm thinking that we possibly invite them in because they're getting, and I think they have really good participation, very few kids that drop out, but so.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I wrote that down. Freedom Schools wasn't part of this evaluation. It was separate.
I know, because they got a different contract. I'm just saying, I
Right.
think we should apply the same
Get them
data
too.
collection to them as that we do for our other providers. I think just to be fair. Just for us to look and to see the impact that they're making, because it is doing good work, yeah.
Or there, okay. So for camp staff, we want camp staff to be skilled and prepared. We also know how important relationship building is among campers and staff and promoting positive camp outcomes. So meaningful ongoing staff training can ensure staff are building skills to maintain a safe, welcoming, and fun summer environment for campers. Staff leaders were required to provide a minimum of 4 hours of pre-camp training and 1 hour of training for every week of camp throughout the summer, so that training would be ongoing. 18 of our 22 camps met this target. Camps provided a total of 370 hours of training, averaging 18 hours per camp. And training covered a range of topics, including safety, camp schedule and logistics, positive youth development, building a strong culture and community, behavior management, and problem solving. Summer camp staff completed both pre and post summer surveys that provided insight into staff preparation and training and how staff experienced camp. Survey results indicated that most staff felt training equipped them to succeed in their role, and most had positive, impactful summer experiences. I wanted to highlight our youngest counselors, our youngest staff, aged 14 to 17, and the learning experience it was for them. They gained professional skills they can take with them into whatever they do next. And I also wanted to mention that this summer camp experience sparked in many staff a desire to pursue a career in education and or working with children and youth. The free responses on the staff surveys were very positive, which was a little surprising to me, just because having worked in summer camp, I know it's like it can be tough. I know summer, it's a sprint and it's hot and it's really long days and you're working with kids that, are off routine and the whole thing. But staff had shared really positive experiences. So I thought that was great, and I think probably also reflects a positive experience for the kids as well.
I really think like every parent should be required to volunteer one day at summer camp in the evening. and make them ride the bus, like the hot school bus. I'm serious. I think that's like a write-up that we should haze every parent that way and make them go through that.
Yeah, crazy times. Like this quotation right here, like was pretty powerful, I thought. The camp went from being a simple new job to becoming a safe place for counselors and campers. Just really great testimonials, I thought. Okay, parent survey. The parent survey responses were positive. We had 458 parents complete a survey. When asked what skills their children gained at camp, many parents mentioned social skills such as building friendships, boundaries, respect, conflict resolution, expressing feelings, confidence, and communication. Parents also mentioned job skills such as public speaking and professionalism, and life skills such as financial literacy. Many parents shared their children learned to swim, and many shared their child gained literacy skills. When asked what they liked best about camp, parents discussed the activities provided, the ability of their child to be social and make friends, exposure to new places through field trips and learning, including swimming, life skills, literacy skills, and social emotional skills. Lots of parents mentioned the camp was exciting and their children wanted to go every day. And parents also mentioned the caring staff and feeling like their child was well taken care of. When asked what they like least about camp, parents mentioned the communication could be better, the heat, and children, which unfortunately I don't have a lot of control over, and children not wanting to leave at the end of the day. Yeah, many parents mentioned financial hardship and said their children wouldn't have been able to attend camp without the scholarship. Yeah, yes.
Can I just make a quick comment about the reading part? You know, we're just hoping to stop summer slide. We weren't exactly expecting for kids to advance in their reading. This is outstanding. Like, we need to blab this around and also empower our camping programs to figure out how to incorporate literacy, because it's exceeded our expectations, at least mine.
Me too, I think so.
I think that's a great idea to share with other programs, that it was successful. It wasn't a grind, and the staff was still happy.
Okay. Yeah. So CTAC staff interviewed 3 campers from each site during the site visits conducted throughout the summer. And staff asked the campers, what's the coolest thing about camp? What's your least favorite thing about camp? And what would you be doing if you weren't at camp? So campers' responses regarding the coolest thing about camp focused on camp activities, including learning new things, field trips, and relationships developed with peers and staff, with field trips being the top coolest thing. CTAC staff also asked campers their least favorite thing, and most campers responded nothing or I like everything. Some responses focused on the weather, like when it's raining, we have to play on the porch, and it's hot. Campers also disliked waking up early and the long days. And some mentioned disliking the academic components, that it felt like too much like school. Lastly, staff asked campers what they would be doing if they weren't at camp, and most of them said that they would be at home on a screen. So I'd be at home on my phone, I'd be playing video games, I'd be watching TV. So we're glad they were at camp. Okay. So lastly, we have our performance measures. Providers as a whole met every target except for the post-summer training target. 89%. I'm sorry?
Feels like we could round that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so 80. I think it's rounded already. I think it was. I'm not. I think it. Yeah, it's rounded already. But 89% agreed or strongly agreed, and 7% of responses were neutral. And some camps didn't make the target because they had a small number of staff. So if you had if you had 3 staff and 2 agreed the training was great and 1 was neutral, then you wouldn't make that target. Yeah. Also, I think that's a really broad question because there's a lot that could happen in your role at summer camp. And so I think that's really good considering all of the things that happen at summer camp that you need to be able to do. And I even went back and looked at like the couple that disagreed, and their comments were still quite positive. I at the summer kickoff, at the end of this month, we will be giving camp leaders all of the survey responses so they can kind of review them and use them to inform their training for this summer. But I think, so overall, there is a little room for improvement, but overall, I think they did pretty well. So if there are are there any questions? Any more questions, thoughts?
From the board. And then I know we have a guest and.
We have our guest, Dr. Litza. Yeah, come on up.
Hello, friends new and old. I'm Dr. Meg Litza, and I have the privilege of working at the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, or CARD. I also have the privilege of being incredibly supported by my CTAC friends. Kids with autism don't do well at summer camp, and if they go to summer camp, they oftentimes don't make it past the parking lot or the first day or lunch due to changes in routine, behavior challenges, a general hatred towards camp food, noise, lots of things. But because we were invited to do trainings, lots of trainings for camp staff this year, just myself, I went back and looked at my contacts. I had 246 conversations just during summer about supporting kids at CTAC camps. And that's just me. There are more staff members than me that do that sort of thing. And so I supported students or parents or staff directly at Girls Place, the Gainesville Circus Center, Boys and Girls Club, Aces in Motion, Camp Makery, Behavior Bricks, Traveling Art Camp. I think Girls Place is here. You guys love my kids, and I just love you so deeply for that. Swimming is a big deal for my population. Kids with autism are far more likely to drown than their peers, and so learning to swim, even if it is just survival swimming, is not having fun during the summer. It's the difference between living and dying when you elope from your home. It was a big deal. We got lots of great videos and pictures from parents to be like, look at this, where their kid was like floundering but making it in the pool. One of the things that I am most proud of has to do with literacy, and that we had quite a few camps reach out saying, we can't get this camper to engage with books. And so we were able to work with quite a few campers to make interactive or adaptive books to make sure that literacy was accessible the entire summer long. We're able to do this for zero charge to campers and to camp. So we oftentimes made 2 books, one that went to camp and one that went home, so they could continue to do those things throughout the year. And then beautifully at places like Limitless Adventures that continue aftercare, we're able to provide those same resources over and over again, so it creates routine and kids know what to expect. I called a parent on my way here to say, I really want to share your kid's story, is that okay? And she's like, can I come? And I was like, no, I want to do it. So I have a student that I've been working with for 7 years. So I know her very, very well. She's about to go to middle school. She had never been to camp before successfully. They have tried every year since she was in kindergarten to go to camp, and most of the time it ended in such an intense disaster, it required a therapeutic measure after.
Please continue.
Sorry. This year, because of the training at CTAC, she was able to go to not 1, not 2, but 3 separate weeks of camp. And that's not even the best outcome. The best outcome is that she made a friend whom she is still in communication with, and they both come to my social learning group and continue to talk about camp and how excited they are to go to camp. And these are kids that struggle with communication, with making and maintaining friendships. And because staff had such great training and expectations from all of you at CTAC, it means that my kids are not just able to be there, but able to have meaningful participation. Like, there is a difference between going to camp and going to camp, right? And having access to camp is a door open, but feeling there was a statistic, and you didn't step on it long, but it was that my kid feels valuable and safe and belong at camp. That would be a yes from every kid that we helped serve going through camp this year. I know that the data is overwhelming, so just forget all that and remember this anecdotal piece, and that, like, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. I'm so happy to know that you are putting a focus on kids with special needs in our community. It is a really big chunk in Alachua County. Camp is a biggie. It's a biggie. It is a genuine part of being a kid with a good summer. And I'm just so incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to work with you and to say to parents, I know this camp is prepared for your child because they have had required training, and I did some of that required training. And best of all, because we have this relationship, when there's an issue that comes up, it isn't, I'm sorry, we can't serve your kid. It is, hey, can you meet before camp with Meg so that we can figure out how to keep your kid continuing in camp the rest of the summer? So, thank you immensely.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Madam Chair, Executive Director Connor, we need a video so that we can show the public what is happening as a result of CTAC. So thank you very, very much.
What's really occurred to me when you were talking is the synchronicity of this partnership and these providers and the communication helping CARD fulfill its mission.
Us too, we are to build capacity. That's number one, right, for CARD. And so our mission at CARD is also to build capacity within our community for individuals with autism, our community and their families, and having, again, the immense privilege to do so with a group of people who is more passionate than any human should be about such a great topic. It is, I don't know, my heart is also singing with joy. Every day I get to work with you guys, and I didn't even share. I had a problem with my own students that had nothing to do with CTAC, but I kept hitting brick wall and brick wall. And I called Amy and I was like, this has nothing to do with your job, but I just need help. And she was like, I'm here for you. And because she has such great connections with the community and understands how our community works and the people in our community, she was able to offer me support that helped me build capacity for a group of kids that have been to summer camp but need experience beyond that as they're becoming young adults. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments? You have to top that, so top order.
Hello, I'm Latoya Lopez, and I'm the owner of Camp Just For Us. So I just want to say a thank you, especially to Amy, because of the data, right? So the data is so important. I've been rolling with you guys about 5 years, and I would say the last 3 years, I really read the data. I'm gonna be honest, the first year I was kind of looking at it, but year 2, 3, and 4, I'm really getting involved. And I'm starting to utilize the data, and I would be happy to say I went from the last 4 years, 25 kids, to 130 this year. I have 5 programs, and it was really based on the data. The data kind of let me know what I was doing well, what I wasn't doing well, but it also helped me gain sustainability. It helped me gain leverage with other organizations. It helped me be able to get in rooms that I normally probably wouldn't have gotten into. And I know I'm going to be intentional this summer with my other colleagues who own summer camps with sharing how to use it. I don't think people don't use it because they don't want to, I think it's a little, it's touchy, right? Because when you look at it, it's like, this survey is telling me what I'm not doing, and I'm boots to the ground. It's not that. It's another way to look at what you're doing. So I know I'm going to be a cheerleader this year, Amy, for you, doing our summer training. We're encouraging other programs to really use the data because it's really beneficial. I also want to say thank you to the trust, because I don't think people realize what that would cost to get a data report outside of this organization. And we need to really take advantage of it because it's free, right? And then you have accessibility to Amy, right? You can get Amy on the phone, Bonnie on the phone. That's not normal. I've been in the grant world for a pretty long time, and it is hard to get people on the phone. And speaking of getting people on the phone, contract managers, Linda, Max, amazing. And also the finance people we never talk about. Thomas is like, as the kids say, the GOAT. Thomas is so good. He answered his phone. He would sit on the phone with you. He would explain things to you. And again, I just appreciate the team that you have over here. You guys are accessible. I appreciate you guys in your respective places for working together. And I want to say to Dr. Mac, I did your training this summer. Yes. And so you made those necklaces for kids to swim. So my Newberry camp, because I had a camp, I'm the Hawthorne camp, and I'm also the Newberry camp. My Newberry camp made it for the non-swimmers. So everybody had it who couldn't swim. And the funny thing about it was the staff would be like, we don't even have to talk about it. The other kids like, they don't have a necklace on. So the kids were acknowledging who needed, it's not safe, he doesn't have a necklace. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay. So thank you for what you're doing. We are looking at working with you this summer, so I'm hoping we'll be talking more. And again, thank all of you for what you do.
Awesome. Yeah. We now have testimonial video number 2 queued up. Thank you so much. Any final comments? Yes.
I just wanted to share 2 things really quickly. One, to CARD, from the school district perspective, thank you, and thank you again. And for the trust for bringing them in. They sit at a table that other people can't sit at in our school district when it comes to our students with disabilities. And they possess the knowledge that other people do not possess and help get our kids where they need to be. So for them to be brought in to summer camp is very advanced thinking. And is highly appreciated. They're not just your kids, they're my kids too, and so I appreciate you. I was looking at your data, and the only other thing that I wanted to share was that in that space where you ask people how they feel, maybe you can look at for your summer campers, those buckets on what they felt like worked best, where it pushes them to give an answer about what portion of the training was most meaningful to them, so that those answers are there, or you're asking that question in there, you give the 4 buckets and let them select, because feelings about training, I'm gonna tell you, people feel a lot of things that have nothing to do with with the training itself. And so just being able to find out across the board what is working well for them. So thank you.
Good point. And thank you, Amy, for a fantastic comprehensive report. All right, awesome. Hey, I heard we have some important new business to round up this meeting. We have 12 minutes. But by the way, this being condensed to the next 10 to 12 minutes is absolutely not indicative of the amount of effort and time that has gone on over the past year in this, but some final tweaks after a workshop this morning where we went into it in greater detail. So with that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I see that our strategic planning consultants are online. Principal Conchita Robinson and Ms. Jackie Gibbs. I see Regine is there, so the whole team. Conchita, would you like to kick us off?
Thank you so much, Ms. Kiner. On behalf of the entire C. Robinson Associates team, I say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to work with the Children's Trust of Alachua County's team, leadership, staff, and with this board throughout the strategic planning update process. We truly appreciate the engagement and the guidance that you provided for us along the way. As you know, our work began with reviewing background materials and meeting with staff leadership to understand the current state of CTAC and the strategic direction that was already underway in your current 2023 to 2026 plan. We also conducted early conversations and interviews with each of the board members to gather perspectives that helped shape the initial workshop and the framework for our discussions going forward. From there, we held working sessions with the board to better understand the life cycle process, review the current environment of the organization, and to begin identifying future strategic priorities. We then work with the staff to develop recommendations around goal focus areas and indicators, which were then shared with the board for feedback. And as you know, based on board guidance, several rounds of additional research and refinement were conducted, aligning the strategies and measurement with results-based accountability. So the plan clearly connects strategies to measurable outcomes, many of which we've kind of talked through during this past hour, and all of which has led to the draft that was presented this morning and the final plan now ready for approval, which reflects the changes received during this morning's work session. It's my understanding from Ms. Kiner that following your approval, we will remain engaged with the team during some stakeholder interviews and focus groups to gather additional insight, especially for areas that are new to the plan or where more community and provider input will strengthen that strategy, like the special needs and the capacity building for providers and we've also been asked to support the staff with a mid-year and an annual update. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to support you in this very important staff work. We truly, truly enjoyed working with you and the staff, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have or pass it back to Ms. Kiner for to gather a motion and second for approval.
Yeah, so thank you, Conchita. At this time, I'd like to just highlight the changes from this morning for the board. And then, Madam Chair, I will turn it over to you for, hopefully for approval. So if you all will turn to page 3, you will see under goal 4. And then Amy, you all can, if I miss anything, stop me, okay? We added to goal 4, the goal, empower and equip our provider community and build sustainable structures for CTAC. Flipping over to page 11. Oh, did I skip one? I did it? Okay. I was like, it wasn't highlighted, but yes, okay, focus area. So focus area 1 will be CTAC capacity building. Focus area 2 will be agency capacity building. I didn't have a handy dandy little color there. All right, page 11. We added to focus area literacy and academic success to the rationale, in addition to 3rd grade reading proficiency and 3rd grade math proficiency, we added chronic absenteeism. All right. Page 12, under CTAC implementation plan, in addition to provide leadership and funding for countywide literacy collaborative and cultivate and strengthen literacy and math offerings, we added create a formal process for communication and coordination with the school board and the superintendent. Additionally, we added explore strategies to improve school attendance. And then lastly, under focus area 4, safe spaces, actually focus area 3, safe spaces, page 14, At the top, specific task, we added exploring strategies and partnerships to address housing insecurity for families with children. And I believe, Madam Chair, did I miss anything? Oh, yes, and we added both the county and the city housing authorities as key collaborators. Thank you.
Any comments from the board on those changes since 11 o'clock this morning? All right, we have a motion and a second, and I'm not going to pick this up yet, but do we have any input from members of the public or any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the 2027-2030 strategic plan, please indicate. Awesome.
Whose idea was this?
Okay.
I thought it was Miss Robinson's idea.
It was a long time coming, y'all.
Great job, though.
Poor Melissa is wondering, do they do this at every board meeting?
Did Cheryl not warn you? We do good work, but we have fun.
This was quite the lift.
Quite the lift, but a lot of great input. And I really do applaud you all for the process and for our team from Jacksonville as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got just a couple minutes to get us under the wire, but one final opportunity. Anything that didn't get touched on, general public comments? Sure.
Everyone, Sherry Kitchens with the Child Advocacy Center. And my Child Advocacy Center hat, I want to thank you all so much for the continued support of our therapy program. We have less than a week waiting for services, which is amazing. So that would not have happened without all of you being attentive to kind of our capacity, ability, and helping us move that forward. So thank you all for that. And then with my chair of the Child Abuse Prevention Task Force hat, I want to thank the trust for supporting the Pinwheel Project. We will be planting a pinwheel garden in front of UF Health Shands Children's Hospital on April 1st at 8 a.m. for anyone who would like to join us and put some pinwheels in the ground to help support efforts and awareness of child abuse prevention in our area. So thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah?
I just want to stand up and say thank you, but first, my name is Tatila Brock Paul. I serve as the Executive Director of the Education Foundation, and just want to say thank you for the support and allowing us to collaborate with the school district on Amplified and getting to see these students work together week in and week out and to promote the survey, get feedback from the students. It's really making a difference. So Dr. Edwards, I'm glad that your dream has been able to come true, and thank you to the Children's Trust and Mrs. Kiner for allowing us to come alongside and partner and be a part of this amazing work that they're doing for the last year and a half. It's been great. And then I also just want to say thank you for supporting our education gala. It was on February 27th, and we just appreciate that sponsorship and you guys coming out. It's an opportunity to celebrate all the good things that are happening in our Alachua County Public Schools, and being able to feature that. And we were able to have two Amplified students sit with Christy at her table and able to talk up more about their day at Teen Day at the Capitol. So they're really doing great work and getting their voice out there, and we're happy to be a part of that. And so I just wanted to take this time to say thank you.
Thank you, Tia. And there is an invitation that was passed out to the end of the year celebration for Amplify. So, thank you. Right. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Board member comments. Any final thoughts?
So Dr. Edwards, the district is working with Dr. Meg? Okay, good. Because I was going to say that, so I was glad to hear that. That's the case, because we're real deep. That's good to hear, Thank you. And the process, as I said, with C. Robinson, thank you. And thank you all for staff for, I know, kind of going with the board, shifting gears constantly, it seems like, and trying to fulfill all of our requests.
Thank you. Member Hart?
Good work, everybody. Thanks.
Ditto. Yeah, I think this was my favorite board meeting. A really great combination of data and heartfelt testimonials, so thank you.
I just want to say that this makes the initiative a very positive thing, as well as, we are making a difference. It's y'all are making a difference, and it's the people of Alachua County who voted for this is, because of their generosity, hopefully we are turning, moving the needle. And thank y'all very, very much. We make some decisions, y'all do the work. Our wonderful staff does work, and to hear, from the provider perspective, how our staff is helping y'all. Today really was a great meeting. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
I have us adjourned.